When night falls, doors are bolted and prayers are whispered. The screams of children mark the first signs of an unseen enemy. Within months, neighbors will turn against each other. At least 19 will be executed, one will be crushed beneath stones, and others will perish in prison. But what really happened in Salem, and why? The Salem Witch Trials of 1692. On a cold winter morning in 1692, life in the village of Salem, Massachusetts, flowed as usual. Tiny wooden homes, the church bell's solemn peal, morning prayers whispered by the villagers, and the quiet rhythm of their daily routines. Yet the days that began seemingly ordinary that year would descend into one of the darkest episodes of collective hysteria in history. Everything began inside a small house. 9-year-old Betty Paris and 11-year-old Abigail Williams began to show strange behaviors. Their bodies convulsed, they screamed, their eyes went blank, as if an unseen force was taking hold of them. In a short time, other girls too began to show the same haunting signs. The doctor of that day could not find an explanation for it. In the end, a single word echoed through the village: witchcraft. In a Puritan village like Salem, governed by strict rules, suspicion of witchcraft ignited fear. The shadow of the devil started to creep through the minds of the villagers. The first suspect was Tituba, the family's enslaved servant. She was of Caribbean origin and was seen by the townspeople as exotic and different. Tituba tried an old method to ease the girl's suffering: a dough called witch cake. She wanted to give this dough, made from rye flour and the girl's urine, to a dog to reveal the witch. Tituba was arrested and interrogated. She denied it at first, but then she delivered a confession that would be forever etched in history. She spoke of women bargaining with the devil in tears and of dark shadows. She implicated not only herself, but also 2 other women, drawing them into the web of accusations: Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne. From that moment on, fear in the village became uncontrollable. All at once, it seemed that anyone could see witches and feel the presence of witchcraft. Even in their dreams, villagers found themselves pointing fingers at their neighbors, convinced of their guilt. Through the bizarre practice known as spectral evidence, merely declaring in a dream that someone was a witch could be accepted as proof in court. Within months, more than 200 people were accused in the small village of Salem. Courts were convened, and in these trials, friendship, family bonds, and even devout faith offered no protection at all. Everyone was a potential victim. Among them was Rebecca Nurse, a respected, devout, elderly woman. When even she was accused, the people of Salem realized no one was safe. Another striking event was the execution of the former minister George Burroughs. Just before his hanging, he turned to the crowd in tears and flawlessly recited the Lord's Prayer. According to belief, it was impossible for a witch to recite this prayer. The crowd was astonished, but the rope was still pulled. The hysteria had grown so extreme that in Salem, accusations fell not just upon humans, but upon animals as well. 2 dogs were even executed, accused of being witches themselves. One of the most tragic stories of these trials belonged to Giles Corey. He was an 8-year-old farmer. Instead of defending himself in court, he chose to remain silent. Because if he spoke, his family's property would also be confiscated. One of the harshest methods of English law was used to make him speak. Heavy stones were placed on his chest. As his breath was being crushed under the weight of stones, according to legend, his last words were, "More weight." Throughout the summer of 1692, 19 people were hanged in Salem, 1 was crushed to death with stones, and at least 5 died in prison. But over time, suspicions began to grow. Especially, the execution of George Burroughs shook the people. And eventually, Increase Mather, the respected clergyman and president of Harvard University, spoke words that would go down in history. Even if 10 witches are released, it is worse if 1 innocent person is convicted. This statement prompted the colony's governor to take action. Governor William Phips closed the court that had been conducting the witch trials. In the newly established court, spectral evidence was banned. Eventually, most of the remaining defendants were released. But it was too late. A dark shadow had fallen over Salem. Years later, in 1711, compensation was paid to the families of the victims. In the 20th century, Massachusetts issued official apologies. And in 2022, the name of Elizabeth Johnson Jr., the last convict of the Salem Witch Trials, was officially cleared. So, what actually happened in Salem? Some historians argue that a fungus that spread through the rye fields that year caused hallucinations and convulsions in people, meaning that the girls were actually poisoned. Some say that the trauma of long wars, combined with hunger and insecurity, drove people to search for witches. But no matter which theory is true, Salem reminds us of a very important truth. Fear spreads quickly. And when people are afraid, hysteria replaces reason. What happened in Salem in 1692 was not just an event in history. The hysteria that unfolded there that day still teaches us a lesson today. Real justice stands on evidence, never on fear. We've reached the end of another mysterious journey. I'd be happy if you could support me by subscribing. And I'll see you in the next video.